Witam Państwa bardzo serdecznie na naszych zoomowych rozmowach na 18. już Festiwalu Międzynarodowym Filmów Przyrodniczych imienia Włodzimierza Puchalskiego. Gościmy dzisiaj nie tylko reżysera, ale też bliską mu osobę, która produkuje mu filmy. Przed nami Jan Haft i Melanie Haft. Twórcy mają aż 2 filmy w konkursie głównym Festiwalu Puchalskiego. Polskie tytuły tych filmów to Magiczna Islandia oraz Łąka, Utracony raj, i o tych 2 filmach porozmawiamy. Te filmy będziecie mogli zobaczyć na platformie moje-e-kino.pl. Rozmowa odbędzie się po angielsku, napisy będą poniżej. So after this short really introduction to your work and also about these 2 movies that our Polish audience will see on this new platform called moje-e-kino.pl, I would like to start, maybe the question is a little bit naive, but how, in regard of these 2 movies, but it could be also about your all movies, I mean your filmography, how do you start? It's from the idea, it's the environment that has this quality, that it is the environment, or sometimes, for example, it could be something connected to the nature, an animal. How it started with these 2 projects, and is there any element that come first in this research of yours?
Maybe I can start with the film about Iceland, because I'm a great fan of this country, and especially of the Icelandic horses. And we had visited our commissioning editor visited us here in Germany, and we spoke about our trip to Iceland. And then she asked us why we haven't yet made a film about Iceland, and I convinced Jan that we should definitely do a film on Iceland.
Okay, so
Iceland.
Yeah, I was like, how many months?
The film Wild Iceland is a beauty film. It's a fascinating country, a fascinating island. I want to portray the wildlife there in a classical blue chip TV movie, nature movie. But the meadow is something different, because it's a political film, and we are by heart conservationists. We are doing a lot of conservation work, and we see, and others see, we did not discover it because you really can see it, that the meadows in Germany are vanishing. We lost in the last 3 or 4 decades nearly 99% of our hay fields. So meadows with a lot of flowers and which are smelling good, where you see butterflies and grasshoppers and birds and so on. We lost them nearly all, because in these times the farmers can only survive if they put pressure on their land, if they maintain the land in a very modern, in a very intense, and in an industrial way. So they put a lot of manure on the meadow. They cut the grass 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times a year, and in this cycle, all these animals and plants cannot compete and cannot persist. And due to that fact, we lost all the meadows. But many people do not recognize this problem. They go by car or by foot or by bicycle through the countryside, and they see, well, green meadow here, green meadow there, a few flowers here, a few flowers there, and they don't really feel how everything is going down. So we decided to make this film, and there's a Stiftung. What is a Stiftung?
It's a foundation.
A foundation had the same idea, they had the conservation of the meadows on their schedule, and they asked us even if we could work together. And so we made this theatrical movie, which is a long movie, 19 minutes film.
And then we cut down the film to international length of 45 minutes, so that and made an English version of that one.
Mm-hmm. And this is the version also that our audience will see. Also, yes. Doing a research, I found a sentence of one of your interview, Jan, and it really was. It opened, like, even in the context of the meadow, especially. Nature doesn't have to be dramatic to get caught. And I was really like, I thought about it a lot. And also this subject, even in Poland, I guess we could do the same movie, the same process, to discover that sometimes it's not about these dramatic landscapes, which are also beautiful. And but even here that you can go 100 meters, and you have the subject, and you have the problem also in this time, in this DNA.
I would say it always depends on the story and the topic and the aesthetics. So there are a few components which are important to a film. You have to get told something new, something shocking, something interesting, something funny. So your emotions have to be caught, and it has not necessarily to be a predator, a bear or wolf killing another animal. It has not necessarily to be the biggest American mountain range. It had not necessarily to be the rainforest or the coral reef. It can be a Polish meadow, it can be a German forest, it can be a small topic, but you have to be wahrhaftig, so the thing, it has to be true, and it has to have a story.
Mm-hmm. And please tell me, you as filmmakers, what is the tension between observation when you do your work, preparation, the creation, and also the aspect of education, with this narration that is together with the documentary cinema. So how do you work on these three aspects? Because I see it in your movies, that is really, there's good proportion between that I can see aesthetics, but I also see the point of what you are trying to tell us about the landscape, about the animals, and about life, because there's many times this element of life, the creation, we can really see the birth of a new life. And this is so amazing, and it's really like heartwarming. And this is like this aspect of observation, creation, aesthetics, but also education for the audience. So I see a lot of balance here, but how do you do to make it look like this in the editing or in the shooting?
We take a lot of shooting days.
That's the clue.
We always take a lot of time, a couple of years to produce these films. So sometimes it takes 3, sometimes 4, or even 5 years to get all the footage. And then we have all the knowledge that Jan has sort of collected his whole life, and we try to capture it.
But the clue is we write a storyline. I know I want these longhorn bees pollinating this orchid. No, I want listen to that behavior. But then we don't go out and try to, as quick as possible, get it and then move on to the next topic in the film. But we spend a lot of shooting days on all these topics, and we also wait outside for things we do not know that they would happen. And then in the editing process, which lasts a half a year, or that film it lasted even longer, then we have a big amount of footage and can properly tell our stories. And sometimes we even cannot, because we have not enough behavior, we have not enough beautiful shots, and then we change the story a bit and we adapt everything. But I think it's really important always to have a story. Small stories, a big film consists of a lot of small stories, and this makes a big story. That's most important, but it's also very important to me, just only to me or to us, that these stories are told in an aesthetical way. And to achieve these two goals, we need a lot of footage, and to get this footage, we spend a lot of shooting days. That's the clue.
Mm-hmm. That's the trick, time.
Yeah.
And money, I guess, which I even before we started talk to Jan
we cannot compare.
We cannot compare.
Our budget does not compare to our budget does not compare to big international productions. We have smaller budgets, but we try to compensate that by just doing what we love and not always talk about the money.
Yeah, no, but I added it because, you are a producer, so I guess this aspect also in the end is important in general, how to make both, to do a very good material, have a good material, have this day, but also in the end have the whole project made. And I was also wondering, from the audience perspective, how did you do these shots sometimes that you are really so close and there's so much beauty. It looks beautiful. It looks really also natural. This is, I don't know, it's a good expression, but maybe it's really hard to achieve that. So is this about also technology and the newest technology that gives these possibilities? How do you manage to be so close to your subject? This is so amazing. I know that maybe the question is a bit naive, but I guess many of the audience, of the members, will be like fascinating by this world that have heroes and anti-heroes sometimes, because it's alive, it's an ecosystem. So they fight, there's a lot of elements. But how did you manage to get so close and we can really see the detail? It's amazing.
Well, we of course use the whole range of technical inventions the last decade brought to us, and we have all these probe lenses, we have tiny small cameras, remote cameras, the big cameras. On the other hand, all the new cameras which came on the market in the last years have a very high level of quality, a good depth of, not depth of field, Farbtiefe, color depth and color range and the gamma and all these things and 4K and so on. So it's not so much about the camera itself. It's more about knowing or feeling when you use your camera, at what time and how close can you get and from which angle and what light situation, for example. And normally during the days we don't shoot. We shoot in the morning, we shoot in the evening, and then we always try to get several angles of view. So to see the animal maybe from underwater when we are diving from above, but also at the same time with the second camera over the second dive, the same animal from a very low angle across the seafloor. So then we combine these angles and suddenly it makes a short story. 2 pictures can make a short story. You see the thing from above and from the side, and then you see, well, it's flat, it's camouflaging, it's whatever it does of the animal. So then the story starts, and the more angles of view you put together, and the more different techniques you use, different cameras and types of lenses you use, the more footage you get in the end to compose a small story on the smallest and not ridiculous, but the smallest topic. The soul is lying on the seafloor trying to camouflage itself. It's flat and it's gray, and the seafloor is gray. And if you have only one picture, you can tell this small story, but it's boring. But if you change the angles and if you change the lenses, and there's a wide angle and you have the huge eye, and then the whole soul from above, then it becomes alive. And that's what we always try to do.
Mm-hmm. So for this last segment of the conversation, is there any scene or sequence in both movies, or maybe you can choose from one that you would like the audience to be prepared to this scene in a way, or sequence? Like I can even put some images, and they will be shown together with our interview. So is there a scene that maybe you have a very emotional attached to it, which is very special in these projects, 1 or 2, or is it hard to tell because they are like children? I guess it's very hard to tell which one is better.
Which one's your favorite?
But maybe there's some memories together with a scene that looks like this in the film, but to achieve that effect, it was, oh my God, I mean, a lot of work and other stuff. So is there anything?
Well, I don't want to emphasize so much on the big effort we take. I mean, every filmmaker takes a lot of effort for his work, but and sometimes you fulfill dreams of your youth. For example, I know that there's an orchid, a certain type of orchid, and this orchid attracts male bees and tries to look like a female bee, and has the scent of a female bee. And for the bees, it looks like a female bee, and it has no nectar, it has nothing to offer, only sex, if you want. So, and this male bee flies around, and the female bees, they hatch later out from the floor. The male bees have 2 weeks before the females arrive in the field. So on these male bees, they fly around, and they see this orchid, and they are amazed, they fall in love, that they head to the orchid, try to copulate, try to marry, if you want, and then they get pollen stick to the heads, and they cannot get rid of it, and they fly to the next flower to again try to copulate, to marry the bee, and then it's pollinated. The flower is pollinated. And I read this in a book when I was young. I read this in books at university. Everybody, or many biologists know this story, but I do not know many biologists which ever have seen this behavior. And they wrote in our storyline, yes, we will film this story with the bee pollinating the orchid, the sex flower. And there was no clue if he would manage to get it. Then in Austria, scientists work on this topic. He helped us. He showed us a very good area where you have a lot of these orchids and a lot of these bees. And then you have to be there in the right week of the year, in the right time. And then the second year it worked out. And then I was
happy.
Yeah, I was happy when I finally caught this scene, this biological sensation for me on film.
Melanie, do you have a memory connected to some scene? Will you share something with us?
For me, it's very nice to see that many shots, especially in the film about the meadow, were made really close around where we live, on meadows that were sort of reinvented by us, but just by, not working on them as a farmer, but just using them like they used to be used. And there's a lot of flowers there. Like the last few shots in the film, they were all shot on our own meadows. And I'm really happy that they made it into the film.
Great. Really, thank you so much for this conversation. I really hope that the movies are in competition, so I really hope that in the end, it will be good for you to win. But I really have to tell you this, that I saw the movies already, and really it was for the subject of awareness in one hand, but on the other, it's like seeing how beautiful is the world, and we really have to protect it, and also see things that the normal my eyes. I don't travel that much. Even if I would, I wouldn't be able to get all this. It's normal, but to see it is like really. You can fall in love again. With nature, with everything. Really, it's an amazing job that.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And I hope that the next movies will be somehow distributed in my country or in general. That the audience, the wider audience, will see it. And I hope this platform, our platform, moje-kino.pl, will give this perspective, this wider perspective. Thank you very much for your time. Really.
Thank you for the invitation. Thank you. Diana, bye-bye.